We're live now. All right, and we are live here on the Unapologetic Podcast. It's a special night. It's a Thursday night, and make sure you follow Unapologetic on all podcast platforms and all social media platforms. Kim, as we said on the season 12 finale, that is always some stuff go down once we go on vacation, and voila, it has been just a whirlwind of things
You
going on.
know, I really do feel like this universe does not believe in us vacationing. I think that's honestly what it is. You know what I mean? Like we in our mind say, no, nothing huge is going to happen. If something like honestly little happens, we might come. And then all of a sudden it's like, the Titanic starts sinking and we did not have a choice but to get up and get online.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad at it because
Yeah.
we are going to have an amazing show tonight. I can feel it in my bones. What do you think?
Yes, we are. Cancer season is over. I'm a year
Thank
old.
God. I mean, sorry.
And this podcast is brought to you and sponsored by the Unapologetic Podcast 5-year brunch that is coming up in August. Kim, give us some details about that for the people in the back.
Oh man, I cannot wait. So 5 years, Unapologetic Podcast has been around with consistency just because we are great. And I just don't care if you think otherwise. I know that we are. And the benefit of that is that we have such an amazing viewership. People really love us because we love them. And we have had some mishaps over the last year, unfortunately, that we were not able to bring the brunch back, but we are here. And we are so excited to finally be able to do our 5-year podcast anniversary brunch, August 18th, somewhere in the beautiful Bronzeville area on somebody's rooftop. So yes, come get your pictures. We know a lot of you need your Instagram photo if you're going to get dressed. So we are giving you all of that this year with a ton of surprises. So please do not miss out. The link is up on Eventbrite now. If you are a little efficient or inefficient, when it comes to buying things online, please contact me please contact me and I will assist you in getting your ticket if need be. If you're just one of those people that for whatever reason you're running from something and you don't want your stuff on the internet, that's a thing now. I do accept Zelle or Cash App, just hit me in the DMs and we can get it worked out. But we cannot wait to see you all August 18th in the Bronzeville area for the Unapologetic 5-year anniversary brunch.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Kim. So tonight we have some heavy hitters in the building, some people that I talk all type of things with, and up on the list today is politics. Reporting live from somewhere in Chicago is my uncle Tony G. Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast. Welcome back. This is not your first time here, but it's always been about music and entertainment. This is your first politics show. Flying all the way to the East Coast in the DMV area, we have Joshua Jackson, fan favorite of the show, was just here for what was it? Black men hate black women, and always gives us a good show. Joshua Jackson, and going all the way down to the trash state of Georgia. Ian Chappelle is in the house, my cancer brother, and he is one of the most unapologetic persons I've ever met in my life. So today we're going to have some fun. We're going to get started. Kim, where are you at? What city are you in?
Well, I packed it on up after, the breach on Friday, and I was finally able to make it back to this good old city of Chicago. Thank God.
Okay.
They almost took us out, The software push that, grounded all of the planes on Friday. Yeah. Unfortunately, we were a part of that. But thank goodness for good old American Airlines, and they backdated system because it did not affect them in the way that it affected everybody else.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Well, welcome back to Chicago.
Stuck in Salt Lake City.
before we left, we knew that it was going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, the rematch, 2025. Well, the election would have been later this year. We knew that it would be the rematch, and we knew that it was going to be close again. Um, let's go right to the debate. Um, Ian Chappelle, what were your thoughts on the debate between Trump and Joe Biden?
Well, first, thank you for having me back on the show, Anthony.
Yes, it's Sir Goodwin Live there. I don't know if you can see
Oh,
that.
oh you know,
My stage name is Sir Goodwin Live.
I'm sorry, it is kind of small on my phone, and you should have prefaced that.
Welcome back.
Retrained myself after more than 20 years of calling you something else. Old dogs with new tricks.
Mhm.
But, the debate was something of a spectacle, and you see, and it reverberated all over the world, where they saw Joe Biden in the state, and it's really a sad state of this cognitive decline that we saw. It was hard for him to finish thoughts, put thoughts together, uh, communicate them with any kind of clarity. He said, "We finally beat Medicare." Uh, and Trump's famous line was, "I don't know what he just said, and he don't know what he said either." Yeah, it was hard, and Sir Goodwin almost tripped over there. You know that I didn't vote for Biden, but it's hard to see, even though he's my political opposition. That was hard to stomach to watch it, because I felt sorry for the man, that he shouldn't. It's almost elder abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But it showed, and Kamala Harris is going to have to. I know I'm skipping ahead, but she's going to have to give an account of that, because she knew the state that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody was out there peddling, "Oh, he's as sharp as 8 tax."
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying we beat Medicare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Joe, I agree with you. Um, that Joe was definitely not is not in the best health, and it showed during during that debate. Jamal and I we joke and say that he wasn't finished unthawing yet uh, because he went to the freezer. So uh, yeah, that was a poor showing, and I think that was the final straw for the Democratic Party. Tony, what were your thoughts on the debate?
I'm so glad you came to me, because I couldn't hold my tongue no longer. But okay, the situation is this. The man said that the man had been back and forth from Europe to America through 2 to 3 times and everything. Now, I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but we do have to look at his age. And his age has been at 81 and everything. You do need your rest. And now, speaking on behalf of that, if he was tired and didn't really sleep and everything, and he trying to call himself debate and then have discussions with other people about politics and about international stuff and about the laws of this land, and you ain't got fully rested, you're gonna say some crazy stuff. And that's exactly what I believe happened, because I have been there where I have worked almost 16 hours a day and everything with no sleep and everything. They're talking to someone on the phone and then talking about camels. And we were
Oh,
talking about what I had for dinner.
oh,
So it's hot, and I'm in my early 50s. So if it happens to me, it could happen to someone in their 80s.
hmm,
But besides that, he came and he proved himself after the fact and everything, with all the interviews that he was doing and everything, and the discussions that he had and everything. And he was buoyant and correct. We got to remember, Biden was always a gaffe machine. He was always, even in his early years and everything. He made mistakes, but the man knows his business. He knows his politics, and he knows this world. And it is nothing more important than a person who is wise. And you only get wise with age. That's just the way it is.
Joshua Jackson in the DMV, what were your thoughts on the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden?
I just want to reiterate what Tony said about Joe Biden. He has been in the political sphere for over 50 years. Despite, his elderly cognitive decline, just overall, when I look at the debate, I thought it was embarrassing on both sides, actually. What I heard was a lack of knowledge of the real issues that this country faces. I saw a lot of contortion of the truth on the other side. And also, I just saw the lack of skill of political rhetoric to sell, compile, and speak quickly on policy that the country really needs. So, and I saw that on both sides. One is just, in his elderly years and his mind is not fast enough. The other one, his mind is so fast that it moves faster than his mouth can, come up with the facts. So I was just basically, kind of embarrassed on both sides, because it really shows the how our statesmen have declined in skill and ability to really represent the country on the global scale on both sides. So yeah, that's how I took it. I was just like, let me just cut this off. So yeah. So that's my take on it.
Kim, what about you? Did you watch?
Yeah, I watched parts of it, and shout out to X, Twitter, whatever we want to call it these days. And I kind of agree with everybody collectively across the board. I think one thing that people are forgetting is that Biden was sick. I think the traveling part of it is a major part. Like he said, him not being able to rest, him coming down with COVID, but it was an embarrassment on both sides. Just because Joe Biden was stumbling through his words, he might not have realized where he was for 26 minutes of the debate or anything like that, does not take away the fact that Trump still half lied through half of the debate. Now, if Trump would have got up there, sounded articulate, hit his points, made sense of some of the lies that he had been presenting, then maybe I might say like, okay, Biden did terrible, but at least Trump sounded sound. He didn't sound at all either. Biden's was just worse because, like you said, the things that he was saying, him saying the Medicaid thing, him forgetting kind of his words mid-sentence, him kind of rambling and not stopping when he realized he had no clue what he was talking about. So I don't think anybody won the debate because, again, I have been saying this for weeks. I think the entire country is laughing at us collectively, not just because Trump and Biden, just because we are letting an 81-year-old and a 76-year-old, act a fool in public like this.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Kim, but you know what? You're absolutely right. But the thing is, what we are forgetting is that one of them guys that's on that stage is a convicted felon. Okay, let's put it where it is. Okay, One is a convicted felon who was accused 34 times for committing some crimes. Okay, should not be nowhere near the White House. Period. Bottom line to it and everything, and that's just the way it is.
Very
and
true.
Stuff. So Joe Biden could be on life support, and I would still vote for him because he still would be better than the other guy.
Yeah.
Well,
Chappelle, you said that you were for the opposition, meaning you were not for Biden, you were for Trump. So even with all the good things that Biden has done for the country over the last few years, and even with all the scandals and just negative publicity that Trump has got over the past few years since his presidency, you still oppose Biden?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, unequivocally. To answer Tony, these 34 felons, which were paperwork felonies. And I find it very interesting that Florida and Georgia have both suspended both cases indefinitely because they were so spuriously coming into it. I mean, Bragg had to heighten them just to bring him to a felony level, because it wouldn't have reached this level if it wasn't Donald Trump. I mean, you know, where this happens everywhere else. I mean, Hillary Clinton wasn't prosecuted and she bit her phones. And you can go on and on and on about people holding documents and all kind of illicit behavior that happened after the fact. But no one has been brought to charge except for Donald Trump. Now, I'm not a defender of bad behavior when it comes to his personal life and all that. As a conservative man, I don't approve of any of that. Now, of course, Kamala Harris starting her career with Willie Brown also is less than desirable now that she's going to be the new Democratic candidate. So I don't approve of bad behavior. However, what Biden, his failures when it comes to the border, which has been atrocious, and you know now they're walking back that Kamala Harris was not the border czar when she was clearly tasked with the border and failed a business. Remember, even Lester Holt said, "So, but you haven't been to the border," and she said, "I also haven't been to Europe." Well, what in the world does that have to do with going to the border? I mean, I haven't been to Jupiter.
Okay.
But
Okay.
all
I don't want to take over this. I don't want to do that. I really let the man go ahead and speak. But okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
But and with inflation and all these other issues, so no. And I don't think that Biden has swayed any previous Trump voters. Now, I will say that Kamala Harris has definitely energized the base, where people who were not excited about Joe Biden are very excited about Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that this is a different race entirely. And where we were feeling good after the convention, we should not be sitting back on our laurels now.
Tony, is there anything you wanted to add before we move on from the debate?
Yes. Okay. Well, let's start with the major thing. Let's talk about this border for 1 second. Okay. The Democrats, Joe Biden and the Democrats came together with bipartisan, with a Republican
Oh, he must got that Comcast internet.
Senator who made a deal, and they wanted it. And Joe Biden said he would sign it. And it was a Republican who brought it up. It was a Republican that did this and brought this bill up. And everybody wanted this deal. But Joe man Trump set up and told the Speaker of the House not to put the bill on the floor because he needed the bill to be an issue for his campaign. They had a deal in hand for them to sign, deal, and close the border down. But Trump wanted it for issues for a campaign. That's the man that people wants to vote for. That's the type of person that you really want to vote for and everything. And then he wants to complain that we got issues on the border that you are responsible for because they had a deal. They had a deal by the Republicans. The Democrats actually conceded so much to the Republicans so the bill could get signed. But people don't talk about that. So people are like kind of oblivious to the things that this man has done. And this is the point. I don't care about anybody being a Republican, but when you got a criminal in the campaign and everything, the man is lawlessness, and that's it, and that's the truth. And for people to support him is shame, especially Christian people, because the man has no value whatsoever. And I'm sorry, and I don't like to accuse people in it, but his character, it shows it. It's too many people saying things about him. It's too many stories about him. And to have that type of support, it baffles my mind.
Can I say something? I like to speak on the alleged criminality of Trump. However we want to perceive it within the court of public opinion, the Supreme Court has made the decision that those charges were beyond the realm of the constitutionality and the laws of this land. So despite that those charges were brought forth in several states, we are in unprecedented times. And this is an unprecedented, past president and election where he really kind of dances within the area of shaded gray of the Constitution, where it can be written in a myriad of ways. I think that voters have a short attention span, just like Tony said about when it comes to the border with the Republicans blocking the deal and Trump really, and it was like right in the news where he say, don't do it, close that deal. I want to use it as a campaign issue. The border has been used as a bishop on the political chessboards for the last 5 or 7 election cycles. But yet we keep falling for it. I think that this election, there are a lot of things that are on the line. There's our institutions and their validity, the Supreme Court, the public statesmen that represent us, the validity of Congress and their skill. Also, Cam said it himself, there's a war outside that no man is safe from. There's a spiritual warfare that's also at stake when it comes to this country. And right now, what normally can be perceived as morally incorrect or morally objective, we have a system in place that is designed to chastise a president for bad behavior. And that's the impeachment process. And they were not able to impeach him 2 times. 2 times. And then it goes to the Supreme Court. And when you read the decision, I'm kind of like laughing at the government lawyers that brought the case. It was like, you guys really effed this one up. Y'all should have decided these issues at the lower court about official duties and what's not, because once again, it's shaded gray. I understand what you're saying, Tony, but we got to kind of ride with the impartiality of the law and the interpretation of the law. And it's like, okay, was it bad character? Yes. Is it lawlessness? According to the Constitution, depends on who penning that decision,
Definitely does.
Kim, you can go ahead. Kimberly, if you got something to say.
Just something really quick. I mean, if we're going to bring up the Supreme Court, then we have to speak on the fact of how many judges were placed, correct? So
thank you.
Right, yeah, if we're gonna speak on one, we have to kind of connect it together. So I mean, if I'm a person like ex-President Trump, and I placed you in your position, in your job, then when I send up the bat signal, I don't care where it's coming from, you better get in line. Because if you don't get in line, I will come and give you a visit. So let's, we can 100% talk about the Constitution, the lawfulness of it, or the trumped up charges that they had to do with the reason that they suspended in these states or whatever like that. All of this is happening if you go back and look at the people that were put in these positions prior, because one thing I will say about Donald Trump himself, is that he's not a fool. Now, you might not like him. I don't like him for a variety of things, but you might not like him for a variety of things. But one thing that you can say, whoever he got with him or behind him, they're very strategic. So I don't think that any of this is a mistake or an accident that these people were placed. He knew these charges was going to come. He knew that he needed people to take the fall. We don't never really talk about how his friends are in jail. Most people that started with him.
It's almost his whole administration is in jail.
Yeah, it's in
the only
jail.
one in jail is him.
So all of them kind of knew, like, hey, we have to put all these things in place because basically things are going to come, from the background. I just had to point the Supreme Court out because we just kept bringing it up. But Tony, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, you said what I was getting ready to say when he spoke on the Supreme Court. And then let's talk about the woman that dismissed the case in Georgia and the one in Florida. The one that Cannon, who should not have even been assigned to that trial at all. She shouldn't have been assigned to the case. She held on to that case for almost 6 months longer than she actually should have. Trump should have actually been on trial almost about 6 months ago. Okay, but they stalled. His people, his judges that he put on the court, stalled them cases for him. They did it for him and everything, which is not the way our founders wanted the Supreme Court to be. The Supreme Court is supposed to be bipartisan. They should not even be Republican or Democrat. They're supposed to be above the law and everything. These people are all solely with him. Them six judges that's on the Supreme Court have showed what they are. Clarence Thomas is getting millions of dollars from billionaires and everything. Mothers living in houses that a billionaire gave that they're not even supposed to be having. And then Alito, he's doing the same thing. And then the chief judge, he's not even doing nothing about it and everything. These are all Republican judges that's doing this. And that's wrong. And that's why they are trying their best that we need to win this election so we can reform the Supreme Court, because what they're doing is totally bogus. Because to give a president official immunity for official orders, that man can do whatever he wants. And no man is supposed to be above the law. Trump could kill somebody and say it was official and not be charged for it. That's not right. That's not right. It's not right.
I'm glad you brought up that issue, because one thing the Democrats suck at is branding and marketing.
Agreed.
They suck at that. And actually, they suck at selling the Supreme Court. One thing, I peered into the future. And when I came back, I looked and thought about, like, you know what? If Kamala gets elected, she's going to be one lame duck president. Because that House of Representatives is going to log jam any policy, anything that she could possibly think of. It's going to sit in the House and it's going to go nowhere. I said, and what policy does get to go forward, even if she exercises her executive order, and the Democrats suck at doing that. They are trash at using the presidential office for executive orders and use the administrative process through the government agencies. Guess what? The Supreme Court also passed a decision that literally gutted the government agencies for their own power of interpretation and administering the law. So even if she does pass something, it's going to end up in the courts and still get reversed over because of a recent Supreme Court decision. So I thought about this. I was like, dang, even if Kamala does get,
you're right.
If she doesn't have the majority in the House or the Senate, she's gonna be a lame duck president. And
that's why it's more than that. It's more than just her. It's the Senate and the Congress. We need all three.
Exactly. And the Democrats need to, if they want to have a chance to give Kamala in office and give her some latitude to actually make something, they need to have a simple majority and a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate to actually give her a chance to get something passed. Also, when you talk about reforming the court, that's a constitutional amendment. That has to be ratified by 2/3 of the states. We still have a bill that gives women a natural bill of rights that was proposed back in the 70s. It's still waiting to be ratified and haven't been passed yet. So when it comes to our constitutional system, I mean, hopefully my great-grandchildren will be able to, get that Supreme Court bill ratified, and they get to, put some term limits on that. But in order to chastise and hold the court accountable, it has to be a constitutional amendment. And just like the chances of that happening, is very, very slim. And I think the Democrats need to take that and add that to their campaign strategy and put more energy into their base, because from my personal opinion, I think that the hairs are split when it comes to Kamala, because right now she's behind in all the polls. Mm-hmm. And I think even amongst our community, there's one side that's like,
no, she's not. No, I just saw a poll. I just saw two polls that she's ahead. She's ahead in two polls. She's not.
When I see this morning,
it was two. I just saw it.
One thing together with
okay. Because the last one I looked at was 2 days ago, and she was behind. But I just think that I feel that a lot of people are still not so, especially within the African American community. What I see that some black men are like, I don't know about Kamala, and then black women are like, yeah, that's our girl, yo. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I just the Dems can hire me. I help them out. You know.
Let's not go too far ahead, Josh. We're going to get.
I see.
I just have a question, real quick.
I
have one quick question.
I'm listening.
You being a young black man, Joshua. You being a young black. Are you going to vote for?
Am I going to vote for
Kamala?
I'm not decided on who I'm going to vote for yet. I'm not decided.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that as well.
I'm a very independent, very mix and match, towards my own, like I say, interest type voter. I don't look at Republican, Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I always vote for a Green Party person to run the environment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ian Chappelle, when you saw the news, where were you? How did it make you feel to see that your Republican presidential nominee, there was an assassination attempt? Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I was helping my adult daughter move into her new apartment, and my father-in-law called me, and he lives in Florida, and he told me that they shot Trump, and I said, "Oh, really?" So we turned on the TV and saw that there was an assassination attempt, and I mean, it doesn't surprise me, and a lot of that is through the political climate. When we're using, this very charged rhetoric with comparing him to Hitler, which I find interesting. And Anthony,
the Hitler did,
huh?
Yeah, his own BP choice compared him to Hitler, but carry on.
His vice president, the one that he wanted to as his second man, called him Hitler.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Ian.
JD Vance called him
Hitler. And that's an amazing ignorance of history.
Mm-hmm.
He's nothing compared to Hitler. Hitler, Stalin, and Mao are all in a camp by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What they were able to do in the name of atheism, well, first of all, they were political geniuses, all of them. Mm-hmm. And how they were able to mobilize countries to conquer continents. What Hitler did in Europe with the Iron Dome hasn't been rivaled. And the mass slaughter, and he's the third on the list of the two I just mentioned. He only had 11 million. Stalin had 30 million Russians that he executed. Mao was up to 45.
Don't forget Russians, Poles, and Central Europeans. And Stalin had it. Yeah, he had a number.
Just the starvation in Ukraine mirrored what he did to the Jews. So, them calling him Hitler, they're morons. They have no idea who Hitler was.
I do want to ask Ian real quick, in regards to the assassination attempt. You brought up the rhetoric. Mm-hmm. Do you personally think that his own rhetoric had a lot to do with the attempt at all?
It shouldn't have. Now, it or not, I'm not sure.
Okay. What do you mean by it shouldn't have?
It shouldn't have, because a person's rhetoric should not lead you to those kind of behaviors. Let's take Mussolini, what he did with Italy during World War II. There were actions behind that with him in the black shirts. And then after the war, it's funny, after they even flip-flopped, they still took Mussolini on the street and killed him. But there was actions behind Mussolini and his rhetoric and him taking over the media and all of that. Trump's rhetoric should not have even risen to that level where someone would take a gun and try to kill him.
But I guess my question is so if we can honestly lay out things that have been said and what we've actually seen with our own two eyes over the last couple of years, like Trump flat out said about Hillary Trump that 2A people should fix his problem with her. No, he didn't say go out and shoot Hillary Clinton, but he disguised it in a way, basically saying that if you can get rid of my problem, I would be thankful. We all watched on January 6th as he incited a riot because he, as a man, didn't want. I'm not going to do that. He didn't want to admit that this election was lost. Now we can get into that later if it was stolen, whatever, this, that, and the third. But it started off with them thinking that he was telling them to do this, to them basically chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," all on his authority, all on what he's, the rhetoric that he's pushing to them. So I'm asking, now, I don't think an assassination attempt on anybody is correct. Let me be very clear. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. When you arrive at the pearly gates, there's only one person that's going to judge you. That has nothing to do with us down here. And that's just my personal perspective. But when I asked about rhetoric, what I'm asking I just gave two instances. These things, do you think any of those type of things had anything to do with this particular person feeling like they needed to defend democracy against Trump?
Well, there's no need to defend democracy, as this democracy has been around for hundreds of years. So it doesn't need a bullet to be defended. The institutions are the institutions, and they're going to survive whoever comes through here. There's no getting rid of the institution. This is not some third world country where a dictator can rise or fall and it send the country into chaos. America is constructed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love your optimism, Ian. I
do.
I really do.
Well, I don't know if it's optimism, as it's just been tried. It's tried.
It hasn't been tried like this, though.
It hasn't been tried like
again.
this.
It hasn't been tried like this.
Oh, it's been
first.
Civil
War. He's gonna try it again.
War of 1812. The War of Independence. Oh, it's been tried. Much worse. To where the War of 1812, they burned the White House to the ground.
But hold on. That was us being tried by a blatant, apparent foreign invader. Once again, it was the British.
All right. Well,
this time the enemy is not so clearly visible and easily defined. Well, now it looks like it's not, and even with the Civil War, it was an issue of slavery and economics. It was very clearly defined. This time, it's not clearly defined. I can't look at you and automatically tell that your political ideologies and alliance align with mine. I can't look at Goodwin and tell that. You can't look at me and tell that. So I personally feel that the Democratic Republic that we have is very fragile. And it's only as strong as its voting electorate and the intellect and the will that it possesses. So I'm glad that you just said it, because I'm a little more pessimistic in terms of the institutions surviving what we're kind of going through at an unprecedented current state that we're in. But I'm glad somebody, keeping hope alive on the,
Well, I would disagree with you if you think that the Civil War isn't, that what we're going through currently with Trump isn't greater than the Civil War. And though it was about slavery, it was about slavery primarily with Lincoln, because he didn't want it, of course, to spread. Mm-hmm. As far as white people in the North, what they were fighting was statehood. They didn't care about us. If they had cared so much for us during, and I don't know, well, I know with Anthony, during the Great Migration, when our people went north, there wouldn't have been any redlining. We would have been welcomed with open arms. Mm-hmm. It would have been an Ellis Island kind of reception, but it wasn't. So for a lot of people, it was not so cut and dry. Robert E. Lee, for example, he didn't like slavery, but he wasn't going to fight against his native Virginia. So
I guess in hindsight, those, I'm looking at it from a totality as we're currently in it, because our kids are going to read this, hopefully 20 years from now. And I think we have a lot of outside interference, a lot of outside actors when it comes to protesting and what's going on online, I find it very hard to see clearly define what it is. And even when it comes to Trump and his rhetoric, basically, I was very, very relieved when I heard that former President Trump survived that assassination attempt, because had that fool had been successful,
oh man,
I don't know what would have happened to the country. I really don't know. And I'm glad that President Trump survived. I'm glad that he's alive. And I'm glad that there's some accountability being held at the Secret Service level. But I'm so thankful that that man survived that attempt, because the state that the country is in, whether it be him, Biden, or Kamala, I think that would have driven a rift, unfortunately, between this country so deeply that it probably would have incited violence, and who knows if it could be repaired again. So that's my view on the assassination attempt, of former President Trump. So, yeah.
You on mute.
If I could speak, initially I thought it was staged. I really did. Mainly because of the reaction or the lack of reaction of the people behind him. They were, if somebody shooting, we scatter, we're down, nobody moved. So there is a part of me that, feels like there was a ketchup packet. I'm pretty sure you all see the meme that's going around with the ketchup packet in his suit jacket. But I don't know, and I agree with you all. I definitely do not want, nobody deserves to lose their life. And I'm glad that he did survive if it was not fake. But I just feel like that was a staged, a publicity stunt pulled off by a person who is known for doing things like that. Now they say some people lost their lives and things like that. All that can kind of be, too. But Tony, what were your thoughts as you watched this unfold?
Well, I was having issues, so yeah, you guys were fading in and out, so I could hear only bits and pieces of it. So I wasn't really. So I can only just tell you from my point of view.
Yeah, what were your thoughts?
My point of view was that okay, it was a failed attempt, but the question is that it's suspect. It's very suspect. There's some. It's a lot. It's so suspect that it has a lot of questions. That the guy, that the shooter, was seen like a half an hour before he was even on the roof. The Secret Service saw, sharpshooters saw, and everything, and they didn't do anything and stuff like that. They said they even reported that he even sent a drone in the area like an hour before to just scope out the area and whatnot. And then there were Secret Service guys who were actually in the building while he was on top of the roof and everything. So it's questionable. And I'm sorry, and this is just me, because I actually was a fan of Donald Trump when he was on The Apprentice and everything. And not only was he on The Apprentice, when he was on the WWF and fighting with the wrestlers and everything and stuff like that. The man is an entertainer and everything. Yeah. And I wouldn't put it, and I'm sorry, I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him, because if the guy really wanted to shoot him, why would he just shoot? It was 3 shots, they said. He said 3 shots. But if he had a AR-15, for what I heard, they shoot automatically. And then I'm saying, wait a minute, how many rounds is in that? What kind of machine? I don't know nothing about guns like that, but I thought they shoot multiple times and everything. But he only got 3 rounds off. It seemed like he would have been shooting to hit his target, but that wasn't the case. And then They did. Then they even said the Secret Service did something that they weren't supposed to do. The man, Donald Trump, wasn't supposed to be standing up, giving the hand signal, talking about fight, 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 with his body exposed. What if there was multiple shooters? You don't do nothing like that. It's just questionable. It's questionable, but I don't believe. I'm gonna say this. I don't believe in violence and everything. If you don't want him in office, vote him out, so he'll never come back again. Just vote. That's it. I don't believe in no violence. Nobody should lose their life. Period. And everything. Violence ain't the way to go. Period. But
I question it.
Questionable,
but I question it for other reasons other than what Tony said. I question when I first heard it. Somebody texted to me. I didn't believe it. And the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, I hope Iran is not behind this. Iran was the first thing that popped up in my head because Iran swore revenge on Trump because remember he killed General Soleimani in Iraq. And that's the first thing that popped up in my head. I said, Iran's probably involved in this. I said, I hope that no foreign nation is actually behind this because that is an immediate act of war. Immediate. Like if Iran behind that, Hamas behind if we could connect any foreign nation behind trying to kill an American president on U.S. soil, that is an immediate act of war. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. And then when I watched the news, I heard that Trump was aware that that is an Iranian plot to kill him, so he hired additional personnel. So with that being in mind, to me, it's like, okay, they know this. How could they be so lackadaisical in the security?
And that's not like them. That's not like them at all.
And that's not, that's not like the Secret Service. They are top notch. So if you know, in Iran, they are very skillful at actually getting Iranian dissidents and kidnapping them on American soil. Go watch the story on 60 Minutes. So if you know that government is out to kill a former U.S. president, you should be on top of your A game. How is it that this man was able to operate and move the way he was without getting his head popped is beyond me. And, that investigation is still ongoing. Either way, I don't condone the violence. I'm glad that he's alive because when I first thought about it, I was like, if Iran did this, we're going to turn that country into a crater and this won't end well. So, I'm just happy that, he's alive. It was just the person was a bad shot. And, we are able to discuss this and we're not, sheltering up somewhere and dividing amongst each other. So, yeah.
That's good stuff, people. Real good stuff. Kim, when and where and how did it make you feel to find out that Biden had dropped out of the race? I was on the phone with Tony maybe a day before, maybe even hours. I want to say at least a day, and was in complete shock and I just could not believe that, things have turned the way they have and the Democratic Party just looking so weak and vulnerable with him announcing that he was not running for president anymore. Kim, you're a female. Give us, your thoughts on Biden dropping out and Kamala getting the nomination.
Honestly, I want to start on both ways. Well, where I was out by the pool in LA doing yoga when I got the alert. Well, you asked,
Rich. Rich. You
asked. So that's where I was. I was out at the pool, doing yoga in LA.
Very, very wealthy. Very wealthy.
No. That's not what that is. But no, in all seriousness, it's so odd that you asked like that because I had been, I don't participate in X, but I live on X. I'm just going to call it Twitter. And so I had been reading for a couple days about how the money had kind of stopped coming in, that even though that they were privately asking him to step down, that his kind of resistance was kind of, I don't want to say irritating, but kind of irritating people, like them explaining to him, like, this is not really a good look anymore. I know we talked about the interview a little bit. The interview was good, but it wasn't great, especially after such a terrible presentation at the debate. So I think I kind of seen it coming. Now, me personally, I'm not going to lie to you. Everybody kept saying Kamala, but I did not see it. I just didn't. I honestly said, no, it's going to be an attractive white man. I know Gavin Newsom, I know he got some things in his past that people don't like, but he's attractive. He's rich. He has the proper white family. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. So when I got the notification that he had dropped and it was her, absolutely, I was ecstatic. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is going to be amazing. But then I think like in the midst of two breaths, I felt just dread for her. And it's already started. It's amazing to me how men turn so quickly when it comes to women, and majority of the men speaking on it have daughters. So as I was watching, because I watch Fox News, I watch CNN, MSBN, whatever is really on. Like I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm only going to watch CNN. Like I want to know what everybody has to say, because in my mind, I really want to see if I can understand where people are coming from. So within the midst of 48 to 72 hours, she screwed her way to the top. She sucked this person off. She did this, she did that. Nothing about her, originally when she ran, it was all about her criminal record and what she didn't do, right? Now it's all been sexualized in a matter of days. And that's absolutely insane. So am I 100% excited for her in one breath? Yes, absolutely. But am I also in my mind, like, sending up every prayer in the book for her? Yes, absolutely. Because what she's going to have to endure just from men alone is going to be absolutely insane.
I'm not hold on, Tony. I'm not I've never been, even when Joe picked her the first time.
Okay.
I wasn't, a big Kamala fan. She just doesn't, I don't know, it's just something about her that just does not do it for me. And then I have to go there because I'm unapologetic and I'm so good with life. The fact that she has a white husband really was like, yikes.
A black man didn't marry her.
Even I just, it's just
Kim, that's a whole nother show. You don't stop. Girl.
He said it. He brought race into it. I didn't say nothing about her white husband. He did that. Just saying.
But I do agree with you that if Kamala wins, just look at all the stuff that happened because Obama was president for all those years. Okay. Things are just going to get worse. I mean, it has just, ever since Obama has won, the racism, the blatant racism has just been out of this world. And I just don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I want to go through that. And I definitely don't want her to have to go through that.
The only thing I'm going to push back on is, yes, racism showed up and showed out when Obama got elected, but Obama got elected for 2 terms. And the racism, the vitriol that you see now is not because of Obama. It's not. Now, don't get me wrong. White people have felt like they have not been heard for a very long time. And then when you have somebody come in and say, hey, guess what? I feel the same way. And so then they get, I'm trying to use my words correctly, they get hype. I'll just say that word. Then that changes the dynamic. But don't put all that racism and vitriol on Obama. We're not going to do that.
You know what, Kim, when you say, when a certain group of white people say, hey, they feel like they're not being heard or they feel like they're being forgotten, is that the Democratic Party's fault? Because they used to be the party of the working class. And is it their fault that they went, away from those values that kept those jobs, that kept, those opportunities for the Rust Belt in the country, and and that those trade policies allowed those jobs to be outsourced via NAFTA and through APAC and Canada and all those other trade deals. I think I try not to look at it as much of a race issue as I look at it as much of an economic issue.
Okay.
And I have a little bit of pushback on Kamala. At the highest common denominator, I don't even look at her record as an AG because I take into time the context of the time when she was an AG. When she was an AG, last time I checked, black folks wanted AGs to be tough on crime. And so we were in a position, and of course the Congress enacted bills that allowed AGs, that gave them the latitude to be very in some instances overhanded when it comes to prosecuting crimes, when she was the chief attorney. But now we're judging her past as a prosecutor on the current moral standing, post George Floyd and all those things. So we're not taking into account where we were at that time and where we were about crime.
I agree.
And also, I personally don't like the fact that, in layman's terms, that, they slut shaming her.
Exactly.
That's basically what they're trying to do, slut shame her, and I personally don't like that fact. Now, all that aside, when I look at her political record, her policy, what legislation has she co-sponsored, what she has passed, and also what her primary responsibilities as a vice president and how she executed. And that's nothing for me that glaringly stands out from those aspects that make me feel like, she's the perfect person for the job. I'm actually waiting on to see what her VP pick is to first to kind of really to give myself a better look, because when it comes to Trump, he selected JD Vance, and he has a record. I was really thinking he was going to pick Vivek Ramaswamy. I was like,
Vivek would have been
Vivek, yeah. So, but he didn't, and so that's why I'm still undecided. I'm really researching and deep diving on everybody in terms of policy.
But don't y'all think that JD Vance has a better backstory?
He does have a better backstory.
He has a better backstory.
He definitely does, because he definitely came up from the Rust Belt. He had a mother that was addicted to opioids. He has the story, and he basically went to Harvard, and really he got a self-made guy. And some people try to look at that as like, oh, he's an opportunist. I'm like, well, is he an opportunist, or did he just capitalize on what was presented to him?
No, I agree. Now that I agree.
So it's the only thing I kind of look at is like, the rhetoric he said about Trump, and kind of, and now he selected to be his VP, and I was like, well, is he being an opportunist, or is he saying, hey, or is he willing to admit it? Hey, I was wrong, and his policies, were great for America in hindsight.
Maybe.
So,
do you agree with that? It was a good idea for Joe Biden to drop out the race.
Absolutely. I think he was actually he should have never ran for re-election, because actually he said that he would be a one-term president, and that at the time he was going to pave the way for a new generation of leadership. And he kind of reneged on that promise and decided to run again. So I think he should have been, he should never ran for re-election in the first place. But I'm glad that he, allowed to push his ego to the side and say, okay, I'm gonna do what's best for the country, but it's kind of almost like a little bit too late. So
I do, before we move on, Ian, I would really like to know your opinion on JD Vance. I know that I'm not saying that is who you're voting for or anything like that, but I would really like to know your take on him.
JD Vance I was really hoping that he was going to pick like Marco Rubio or someone who could speak more to the, because that we're rising in the Hispanic. I thought that would have been a more interesting pick. JD Vance with Hillbilly LJ he's an interesting pick, but he doesn't broaden Trump's appeal. I think Rubio would have broadened his appeal. But Vic Ramaswamy, he has some interesting ideas. I think he probably, if Trump wins, he'll have a seat in the cabinet. But J.D. Vance, he wasn't my first choice.
Okay.
So you like Rubio instead?
Well, honestly, I really like Ted Cruz. I would have loved Ted Cruz, but I think Rubio would have been an interesting.
Ted Cruz.
I do. I mean, constitutional scholar, and he's argued before the Supreme Court several times and has won. Very astute in legal matters, so I would have preferred that. But J. Vance is an interesting choice.
You know. I'm glad you brought it because Ted Cruz befuddles me with all those accomplishments and all that what I call legal knowledge. It befuddles me the position he takes sometimes and the choices he makes. It's like it's also kind of like it's like when he does certain things or he says certain things or he takes a stand or not, because I know his background. I was like, dude, you're smarter than this. So it's funny that you said Ted Cruz, because sometimes Ted Cruz, I'll be like, Senator Cruz, you are smarter than this. Like, what are we doing here? You know better. You argued these points before and won. So I see what you're saying, but what his background is and how his political career kind of aligns, it confuses me sometimes. So it's interesting that you said Ted Cruz. I was thinking probably like I said, Vivek Ramaswamy. I was liking Tim Scott at first, and then not so much. I kind of like, if he was going to pick someone that's an active senator, I would have probably liked Tom Cotton from Arkansas a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? He's a very smart and accomplished senator on the Republican side. So that's interesting that you just said Ted Cruz, because that's
nobody thought of Nikki Haley.
Absolutely not.
And then with the laugh, wow. Okay.
Do you remember what John Boehner said about Ted Cruz, Ian? You remember what Boehner said about Cruz?
Oh, what did it say? I don't remember.
I think he called him like the Antichrist or the evilest man, egomaniac. He had some very choice words for Ted Cruz, wow. John Boehner, when he was the Speaker of the House.
I have some choice words about John Boehner. Yeah, John Boehner isn't riding high with the right wing of the Republican Party. So
it just seems that the Republican leadership has some choice words about Ted Cruz. Even Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, they all have some very interesting takes on Ted Cruz. So that's all I'm saying.
I wasn't crazy about Mitch McConnell, as a lot of them weren't, but we had to team up with Stalin to win the war. So sometimes you're the friend of your friend, the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a good old Lincoln quote right there.
Tony, give us your take on Biden out, Kamala in.
I think it was the best thing that could happen for the party. I do believe that. And I mean, it shows. I mean, the surge shows. It shows the funding have returned, the donors have returned, and everything. People are energetic. There are some people are so energetic in the movement and everything that they talk about all these reports of these big calls of 40, like I think they said like 44,000 women or something, and then 40-some thousand men raised like $1 million in 24 hours. So, I mean, it's showing the enthusiasm is there and everything. And I agree with you, Josh, because Biden did say he was only going to run for 1 year. For 4, he was going to do one term. He did say that and everything, but he felt like it wasn't over with. He still had some work to need to be done and everything. And he really felt like he was the only one that could do it, until they start showing them that when them doing them funds, when them donors will start holding that money and everything, they say, okay, if we don't have money, then this campaign is done. So he had to realize, he had to come to the realization that he got to move on. And even though he did it a little late, everything, he still did it. And that showed the type of person that he is and everything, because the other guy would never do it. He would never cancel. He would never say, I'm passing it on. He would never done it and everything. He might take him out, because like he did, he wanted to hang his own vice president. I mean, Trump, things that Trump have done to me is outstanding, that people can look at it. We need the Republicans need a John McCain. They need a John McCain. And they need a John McCain back, because that's what they need. And what we need to start getting behind Kamala, all of us, all the black men, black women, black children, everybody needs to get behind her and everything and get her elected and everything. Because once we get Trump out the way, then the Republicans go back to the Republicans of yesteryear and be like the way it is back in Reagan's year, when I started really looking at politics and everything. Because this mega crowd, this is not the Republican Party of the 80s or 90s. It's not. They're extreme, and they're like almost like a cult, and that's scary and everything. And they don't. And Trump's main purpose is to get rid of the Constitution. That's what he wants to do. That's what the Project 2025 is all about. It's trying to overthrow the government and stuff. So we got to call it what it is. But Biden doing what he did was the greatest thing for the Democrats. And Kamala can do this job. And if we're going to talk about Kamala and how she stepped her way to the top and what she had to do, well, we can look at the other side and say, look what he did to all them women and everything and stuff. It's a report that Trump was right with Jeffrey Epstein and everything, with all those young women and everything, back and forth. There's thousands of pictures of him and Epstein with all the women and everything. So what should you say about Trump? If it's okay for Trump, why can't it be okay for Kamala?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm looking at it. If Bill Cosby want to run, let him run. Let him run for president. I mean, if it's okay,
God, Lord, no.
Not Bill. Jesus, he can't see out of one eye. Let that man rest.
Yo, let's leave Bill Cosby out of this.
Hey,
yeah.
I just don't like.
If it's okay, if you can violate women, and do whatever you want to women and everything, and still run for president and everything, and not get charged for it, then anybody can be a felon and run. You know
what? When you speak about this, Tony, you speak about Trump and you speak about Kamala. There's some character issues on both sides. And even if you go inside the house itself, when you speak about the MAGA party, I mean, there's some less than reputable characters that represent us in the United States House of Representatives on both sides. You got one Democrat that just got indicted for taking gold bars and bribes. And then you got another one that's accused of sleeping with underage. It's just,
and he resigned.
I think that are they the problem, or are they indicative of the polarization of the electorate itself? And has our own standard changed at a certain level where we overlook these so-called character issues, or what you would deem a lack of morality, that we allow that we vote for these people? I think we can kind of look on both sides. We can look at Trump, we can look at Kamala, we can look at Boebert, we can look at Mendez, Bodman. I mean, and we can look at Clarence Thomas, we can look at Kagan. I mean, on both sides. But at one point, when are we as an electorate gonna be like, you know what, we gonna start holding our people accountable, not just off the sound bites that the media sensationalizes on both sides, but we're gonna do our own deep dive on character and policy, like, because that's what I look at personally. I come with a cheat.
Yeah,
I agree with that point.
My personal opinion is that I think we need to stop looking at politicians and giving them all this credence just because they went to Harvard or Princeton or they went to all these Ivy League schools and whatnot, and they got all these Ivy League degrees. That doesn't mean that you're a good person and everything. I think average people should be running for these positions. I believe average people who may not have a college degree, who may just had like maybe a couple of years of college, but they're smart and they're capable and they want to work for the people and they want to do the right thing. Those are the people that we need to be putting in office and putting in seats and stuff. Those are the people that we need to be looking at.
I 100% agree with you. And one thing that I can admire about the conservative side, you have Project 2025. Oh. That's from the Heritage Foundation. That is a think tank. That is multiple pages of political policy that can be implemented on day one. Where's the Democratic Project 2025? Where they Project 2025 at?
The Constitution, because that's what it is. The Constitution. The Democrats is looking at the Constitution. We have a Constitution that we have. It's even though it's archaic and it needs to be updated, but that's what we go by. The Heritage Foundation wants to take away the Constitution. Project 2025 wants to take away from it. They want to gut all these things that are for the people. They want to take away. How would you want to take away education? Well, how would you want to take away books?
The Constitution.
Why would you want to do that? That makes no sense. The
Constitution is not for black people. The black people were slaves when the Constitution was written. What are your thoughts on that, Tony?
Well, the black people were slaves, but the situation was it got amended. And by having it getting amended, it gave them opportunities to achieve something from themselves. But you got to remember who are the founder fathers. They were white. Of course, they're only doing what they want. And where did they do from? They escaped from England. They made a constitution that was going to work for here in America, that was not going to be like a monarchy over there in England. And so that's why it was made that a president was not going to have no ultimate power, was not going to have that type of power. That's why it was 3 branches of government and not just one branch, a monarchy that says this is how it's going to be and you got to follow it. No, everybody had a way of working together. That's the way they wanted to do it.
Yeah. Ian Chappelle, before we move on, I want to get your perspective on Biden out, Kamala in. I know that you are red all the way, but you're still in the news, you're watching the news, you're watching both parties. What were your thoughts on Biden dropping out the race and then Kamala being given the votes to be the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Very interesting. A week before this happened, Biden said only God can move him. I don't think that he stepped down. I think he was ousted. Obama and Pelosi and the heads of the Democratic Party, because the money had dried up, they said you need to move. Biden, he didn't have any intention on moving. Jill Biden is looking to get rid of that power. So no, he wants the power. He's ambitious, but he was moved because the goal is to defeat Trump.
Kamala, would that have been your choice?
Well, Kamala was the only choice because they have all that money sitting in the super PAC. Mm-hmm. So there was no other choice. No one else would have had access to it. Now they would, Gavin Newsom, Whitmer in Michigan, Shapiro in Pennsylvania, the old boy out of Nevada, I can't think of his name now, the astronaut. All Kelly, them would have
Kelly.
Yeah. They would all had to start from the ground up. Kamala already, and it would have just been an open convention. And funny, that's what Barack Obama kind of actually asked for, was just an open convention.
Yes.
And let the candidate rise to the top. But Pelosi and the rest of them, no. That was not, because she really is the kingmaker.
You hinted earlier to the Democratic Party being rejuvenated with Kamala Harris. Do you think that she can pull off an upset?
I think she can. I think she can. Especially if Trump gets unhinged. The reason why he's been moving ahead is because he's been relatively quiet, and he needs to stay relatively quiet. Let this be a referendum on the Biden-Harris president. Keep your mouth closed, because she is pinned to Biden. So every failure that happened under Biden's watch also happened to her. So keep quiet, and we'll see. But yeah,
won't they go with the success too?
Huh?
I was saying, wouldn't that?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, I was asking Ian, what besides the obvious, the border situation, what failures is pinned to Kamala besides her failure as a border czar? I mean,
what also would be pinned to her would be this Biden Inflation Act that she signed. Remember when the Senate was split and she was the dividing vote, and inflation skyrocketed because it wasn't high when he took office. I mean, they fact checked that was a lie. So this inflation that we're all feeling is also pinned to her. So I do wonder.
So what about his success?
I'm sorry?
Biden's success. What about that? His successes, would they be pinned to her too?
Whatever his successes
Biden's successes.
Whatever his successes are, yes, they will be pinned to her as well.
It's funny.
Okay, the one sense is like your boy Trump was talking about the energy, talking about that he was going when he become president, that they were going to drill so much they're going to be energy sufficient. We're already in that already. We're the number one in the world. Okay, and number two, we do more drilling now than we have done in the history of all the world. We drill for more oil now than they do in Saudi Arabia, and this is all under Biden's administration. Okay, so now then we have the chip thing. We own the chips. We are in charge of the chip. He got chip plants throughout this country that's in certain states, and that's bringing in thousands of jobs. Okay, this is Biden's stuff. Okay, so that's going to go towards Kamala because Biden did it, and she was right there along with him when he did it. So these are some successes that's already started for this administration. The man has done so much in this administration for his 3.5 years that most presidents did in 8. Okay, so we got to call it like it is and make it true. Forget about his age and forget about that 90-minute sorry debate and everything. The man did his job as president.
Don't forget the HBCU bill. Sorry.
That too. Except Trump tried to take it when talking about he did more for black people when it wasn't his bill.
Well,
go ahead, Ian.
Okay. Well, what just push back on the energy front?
And then a lot of black people that I know that talk.
Go ahead, Ian.
Okay. Well, to push back on the energy front, remember when Biden and Harris took off, the first thing they were going to do is stop fracking. And they did. And they made state parks over a lot of the federal lands in the Arctic and Alaska. And we saw the energy prices went up. When we were a net exporter of natural gas, our top customer was who? Germany. And we were selling to a lot of European countries because who were they buying from? Was from Russia. So Trump tapped into that. And remember, and when Biden and Harris came in, that's the first thing that they stopped. And what did Europe go? They reverted and started buying from Russia again.
And then they blew up a pipeline.
That they did.
Okay.
So the energy thing, and the second thing was the chips. That was already well underway, and all the whole chip manufacturing really is only because of the threat that China poses to Taiwan. And very interesting, that threat was minimalized under Trump. China was not looking to move on Taiwan like that, much like how Putin went into Crimea under Obama, didn't do anything under Trump, and now he's in Ukraine under Biden. And then you talk about
And
Afghanistan.
why is that?
What do you mean?
You see,
Why
I
is that?
just want to add some more meat to what Ian is saying, because I mean it's history, it's factual. Not only did China aggressively militarize and posture itself towards Taiwan, they also instituted several trade embargoes to restrict the outflow of precious metals for energy efficient vehicles and for chips, because they have a monopoly on cobalt and metals that are used to build these chips. And that happened during the Biden administration. What was his reply? What was his retort? I don't know for clear, but I just know that, if you look at the markets and, me, when it get tight, when it's blood in the water, I'm a buy. So, so, but when you look at I mean, that happened. Now, what are we going to do to reply to that? There is an ample amount of that material sitting out of Pacific along by Hawaii. But right now, once again, our own electorate is blocking us from being, how can I say, independent from China in terms of that chip, which will also make us, how can I say, somewhat immune and allowing us to mind our business if China decides to take Taiwan. We'd be like, well, you on your own. Ain't no American money going over there because we got our own materials to build our chips over here. The same thing with the gas. If we had continued to sell Germany that gas, then Germany would not be so beholden to Russia, and Putin is actually playing with the source in Germany and kind of strangling their energy as we speak and raising their prices into Europe. So that's why when it comes to our alliances in NATO and what we are able to bargain with in Europe, that's being strained. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, when we need statesmen that have real knowledge of policy, economics, issues, security, and how everything ties in so that they can make real decisions that won't cost you and I money.
We're getting close to the 10:30 hour on the East Coast, and I want to definitely hit on this before we let you all go. The actual and factual Kim Smith. If we did a show yesterday, we would have led with Sonya Massey. And when we talk about Sonya Massey, a lot of it goes back to Trump immunity. It goes back to him giving police immunity. Another black woman killed, another black person killed by the police. Kimberly, the actual factual Kimberly Smith. What are your thoughts on all of that?
I avoided the story for a very long time. I did. It kept coming across my my social media. I got a couple messages about it, and I did. I did not want to watch the video. I didn't. I honestly, I didn't want to do the step and repeat again, because we've reported on this so much. It just seems like that it's not even something that holds weight anymore. And it's terrible to say that, because someone literally lost their life. But Sonya Massey was shot and killed in Springfield, Illinois. July 6th. What we are now getting is the body cam footage. This is not something that just happened. She called the police to the house because she was calling because she thought she heard an intruder outside. Now, this is where the story gets choppy. The first part is that the police showed up and there was some type of vandalism to a car outside of her home. And that's maybe why they went in a bit aggressive. I don't know how the car being ransacked or whatever has anything to do with them going into her apartment, but whatever, what have you. What we see on the video is the officers come in. It definitely seemed that it was documented that she had some type of mental illness. This is clear on the body cam footage because he asked her if she was having a good day. She replies that she had taken her medication and that she was fine. For whatever reason, the officers are the one that directed her to the stove to take the pot off the fire. It wasn't something that she did on her own. She didn't move aggressively or anything like that. And for whatever reason, which, what this will all play out, it escalated very quickly, and it ended with her being shot in the face. And then if you watch the other videos, how dismissive this officer was about him literally killing her in her home. Again, I don't have much to say about it because I personally think that we've watched this story unfold so many times that we've lost count. I think the important part is to know is that this officer has switched jobs in the last less than 4 years, over 5 to 6 times. He had been arrested for DUI in 2015 and 2016. He had been let go from 3 other departments. Of course, no one will say why he was let go or how he kept getting other jobs, but some of the things that all tie this to politics is what, like the immunity that Trump wants to give to officers, the them wanting to create something that basically wipes this particular database with officers jumping from basically department to department to department. It doesn't really seem like it matters because he still got the job. But I personally think from the political side, I know it's going to happen. It's already happening. I don't want them to use this as a point to race on. I really don't. And that's for the Democrats and the Republicans. I don't care who it is. I think that this is too personal. I think that it can be wrapped up into something that can be used against her or her family later. Like I just see it going wrong in all many different ways, right? Because we've seen this before. One side comes out and then all of a sudden she did this when she was young. She stole an annihilator when she was 6. You know, she got into a fight in high school with a cheerleader. Like all of these things will start to happen. So I really hope that this family gets justice. And I really hope that all political parties stay out of this particular issue.
I have a question for you, Kim. So you say they told her to go and take the pot off the stove?
They did.
Was the pot boiling or something? What was the situation?
So from my understanding, she was making herself tea. And the pot had started boiling, I guess, as they came into the house. And so the officer points out that the pot is boiling and that they should move it before it starts a fire in the house. So they instructed her to go to the kitchen and move the pot.
And then I heard that she's supposed to say something about the devil is a lie or something like that. She's supposed to say something like that?
When her and the officer start kind of conversing back and forth, she said, "I rebuke you." And I mean, I'm not trying to say that. She told the officer that she did. And then I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that. But if you were a Christian, the things that, you know, you believe, they tell you, you know, when the devil was in your house. So like I said, that's to each his own, whoever you want to believe. But then when he got aggressive, he flat out said, "I'll shoot you in the fucking face." He literally says that. And then she starts apologizing.
Before she even grabs the pot.
But she has the pot. She has the pot moving it over. And then when she puts the pots down, you see her hands literally go up and then the shot goes off. So again, like I said, they're going to spin this into something in regards to mental health and all of those things. But what I just want collectively everybody to remember is that this Black woman called for help, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. And because she called for help, now her children are burying her.
Yeah, I know, but you have to look at. Thank God you had the body cam because you got to believe your eyes. You got to believe your eyes. She did not pose no threat to him. She posed no threat whatsoever to him for him to shoot and kill her. And I went to police training school, so I know that you're only really supposed to use your gun only if you show imminent threat and stuff. So for him to do that, should not have happened and stuff like that. So no, but they said he did get fired and everything and stuff like that.
And he was arrested. Yeah, he was arrested.
And arrested. So okay. So yeah. So okay. All right.
I was like Kim. I stayed away from this story. And I tried my best. I tried my best to evade it until everything was presented. coming out, and I'm still kind of like trying to just stay away from it, because when I look at it, or when it comes across when it's force feed to me via an algorithm, I don't know if I said that right. I'm with the public school in Chicago. Who cares?
Your algorithm.
No, you didn't.
Algorithm. You know what I'm saying? My thing is that beside the politics or race or the geographical area about Black folks living in Southern Illinois, because that's what Springfield is, Southern Illinois.
Shout out!
I just think about I think about the humanity.
Yeah.
The love for your fellow man, the empathy, the compassion, and I'm just like, what the hell happened? Because when you see the video on Instagram, to me it's quite apparent that she was dealing with some mental issues. And my first filter comes again is like, once again, this is not what police are trained to do, to deal with mental issues. And that is that an irresponsibility amongst us as a society to put police in that situation where they have to operate as therapists and deal with people with mental issues? Or is it a lack of training? Or is it something that just, as a person,
maybe it's just evil,
noticing that and having some form of empathy? But I also notice when you are a law enforcement officer and when you are a first responder, you tend to grow callous in your humanity because you see the worst side of mankind sometimes.
Of mankind, right?
Yes, and so I try to, look at it from every aspect, but I still see this woman, and it's very apparent to me that she's having mental issues, and I'm like, at some point, where was the compassion? It's like, are you okay, ma'am? Like, and I would have just walked out the house to say, okay, everything's clear. We checked your house. There's no one here. Let's step. As an officer, remove yourself from the situation. Tell my partner, hey, let's step outside and say, hey, I think call dispatch. Like, we checked. There's no one here. And we think that there's some other issues going on. It could be some psychiatric issues. And, go in and say, here's some counseling services. It's, I
heard they said that. I heard they asked her that, right? They asked her if she was okay, right? They asked her that, right?
But he asked it in the context to make sure, and she says, I've taken my pill. Like,
so it's kind of like an acknowledgement that there is some mental health issues.
Yeah.
I just, I feel deep sorrow for the family and for her, and just, for us to witness that and question the level of love and empathy that mankind has for each other. But I also look at it on the side of those officers where they kind of put in that position where they make these decisions, and it's consistently being like, oh, I'm making the wrong decision. And I'm like, okay, what do we go from here to stop people from losing their life on misunderstanding and lack of empathy and lack of training, in terms of dealing with law enforcement and being a public servant? I mean, I'm a public servant, and unfortunately, I lead with my heart first. So that's just what I do. So it's sad, it's baffling. I try to, like Kim said, I tried to evade the story as much as possible because I was like, I need time to process this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a lot going on. And then when I finally saw the video, I'm just like,
again,
like, it's just, I don't know what it's just overall sad and disappointing. But it's like, what do law enforcement do? And we depend on law enforcement. It further erodes the trust in law enforcement, and it makes them feel like, well, I'm gonna be damned if I do, damned if I don't. So I ain't gonna come respond to a call anyway, And then it's like, at some point, as Black people, we feel like when we get pulled over, it kind of programs you to feel nervous and antsy. And when you're nervous and antsy, that energy is perceived and picked up by the officer. So now they feel nervous and antsy, which further puts you in danger. So it's just like where do we go? What's the solution?
I think the only thing I'll say, and then go and I'll let you have it. I think for it was his lack of empathy all the way through. Like, it's caught on the body cam footage after they go outside. He says, that crazy bitch this, that crazy bitch that. Like, it, to me, it would have been completely different. And I'm not trying to say that like he has to wear his emotions on it, but like if he would have been remorseful, if he would have been like, oh my, I don't understand how that escalated. Like, his partner says, oh my God, let me go get the bag. And he says it's not necessary. It was a headshot.
She's
like,
yeah.
It was very like just boom. Like,
No
I don't care.
No compassion.
Was
No
he
compassion.
cold? Was he cold? Was he cold? Was he cold?
He was very
was
cold.
he cold?
Like, it was like he was. It wasn't like it. It literally reminded me, and I'm not even trying to be facetious, of, you know, how these boys play like GTA and stuff. Like, you know, like that's how it felt. Like, it was very robotic. It was very like, oh, it was a headshot. She's done, and it's like, this is a human life. And then for you to go outside and first tell the officers like, oh, she was attempting to throw it at me. Like, that's the first thing he basically says.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That was a lie.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure it's going to come out later that the partner probably spoke first, because I'm at the end of the day, I guarantee the partner's like, I'm not going to jail for nobody. So let me tell you exactly what happened. Especially when they realized that the body camera footage and stuff was like, that was going to come out. But you referring to her as a crazy bitch, less than 10 minutes of you literally ending this woman's life, insane.
No. I want to thank all of you for joining us today on such short notice all over this great nation, United States of America. I'm going to be voting black. I'm going to be voting black woman. I'm going to be voting blue. And I'm going to be doing that most of the time, unless that black person was like Trump, then I probably wouldn't be doing that. But we're going to be going Kamala Harris. We're going to be going blue. And they say it's the KKK versus the AKA.
Oh, come on.
Whoa.
Maybe don't get them pull this pink and green out their clock. Let me tell you something. Both of my good girlfriends are a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And let me tell you, I'm just going along for the ride. So when they call and say, hey, they said that the get together is here, I'm packing my bag. Okay.
Yeah, I got my hookup already on the Democratic National Convention tickets. I will be in the building. So yes, I'm looking forward to this for Kamala, and I would have been the same way for old Sleepy Joe, but hopefully he could go get his rest.
Is Ian going to be your plus one? Is Ian going to be your plus one for the D?
Ian won't even come back north. Ian won't even come north to Tennessee anymore.
With us for the Democratic Convention, come on up. Come get you a good hot dog.
That's all right. I didn't like it when I lived there.
Oh, damn.
Tony G, my uncle. First of all, I want to say that I don't follow politics a whole lot, so I learned a lot today. And you all are three of the people that I go to for politics. Actual Factual, she reports it right here in the Unapologetic Studios, and Jamal, who we'll get him on one of these real soon too. Tony. I don't think anybody really needs to know which way you're going come November. And I think you even have on a blue shirt, if I can see that correct.
I'll tell you like this. I told somebody the other day, I said, I got a 2-year-old nephew named Kyrie. I'll vote for him. Over Trump.
Before Trump.
Reverend Dr. Ian Chappelle, live from the trash state of Georgia. But you do live near or in Atlanta. I can't remember. And Atlanta is that rock the boat part of Georgia. You know, everywhere else gonna be red.
Yeah.
But there's so many people in that Atlanta that can sway Georgia from red to blue. And you will be our personal correspondent to what is going to happen down there. I want to thank you always for being unapologetic. I met you in 2001, and we have been able to maintain a friendship, even though you are a lot different than us black people, and especially politically. I'm not judgmental. I love everybody. I love you, your wife, and your family, and your mother. I love all of y'all. Uh, and I just thank you for just being you and keeping it real. And hey, some things, and I feel like I'm conservative as well. So some things I'm on your side, but I just know that the Republicans, they stop a lot of good things from happening. So shout out to you, and we know which way you're going. I think your shirt is red too. If I can see right, Tony's shirt
No,
is blue. Your
it,
shirt
it,
is red.
it is white. I mean,
Right, that's all I'm just saying. Clear over white shirt.
I don't know what color you saw, but thank you for having me, and I do appreciate and I appreciate the conversation because it is nice. I will say to hear opposing views because like many of us, we kind of move in our own echo chambers. Because I really only talk to other conservatives, so we're all kind of going the same way.
Mhm.
But it's nice to hear because that is how you sharpen your argument. It's just like what Kimberly said. Now I never watch MSNBC or CNN, but it's good to hear what you wanted to say. And I don't need to hear what they're saying, but
you know.
So listen to Fox, and Fox is gonna tell you the truth, right?
well,
There's truly a Santa Claus in the world too.
well, I know enough history and I know enough about politics to know how the world works. I know geopolitics. I minor
Thank
in
you.
so I'm aware. I'm like Margaret Thatcher. I follow the facts, and generally the facts are conservative.
No,
And
man.
I point to the Republican Party. I'm a Margaret Thatcherite.
Well, one thing I will say you and Tony will agree on is that Jesus is the only way to heaven.
Way.
Come on. Come on, Preacher. Come on,
That's
Preacher.
true.
Y'all gonna agree on that.
That is
Jesus
true.
is the only way.
Absolutely, he is God. Yes.
Absolutely. That's not.
Joshua Jackson live from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. Thank you for joining us. You and Ian, I feel so out of place. You and Ian have these bookcases behind you. You and your nice office. I'm pretty sure there's a gavel on the desk
no,
somewhere.
there's,
Black
there's
gold
no,
hanging
no,
up on the side.
Love
there's
a
no
book.
gavel, but I don't want you to call me what is it? Super conservative because I got a red wall over there. I don't
Oh,
want you to think that.
Oh, Lord. What
It's
you
a
got?
red.
What you got
Hey,
the blue couch?
I got a red
Yes.
wall but a blue couch.
You got
You
a
know
blue
what that
couch.
means? I'm
and
for
a
America.
green
How about that? I'm for America. You know what I'm
Everything.
saying? Let's just put it that way. But it's funny that Ian said Margaret Thatcher. I actually have in the case the original copy of Winston Churchill's World War II, all 5 volumes.
Man,
It's funny if you read that he
wow.
has some words about Miss Thatcher, So I like history as well, and he's one of my favorite, despite his so-called racist view. He's one of my favorite elder statesmen because he kind of led the call in World War II. Like if you study him, that's like real leadership. So like,
So did
so
all
it's
of
just
you
funny
all
that
go to the same college?
oh,
Did y'all
go
go
ahead.
to the same college?
no, I went to. I'm a Chicago public school graduate.
So is Ian Chappelle.
Half of it was half.
I
Of it.
mean, I know you met him, at Northern, right?
Yeah, I'm at Goodwin at Northern. Yeah,
Northern, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Ian Chappelle went to Northern
That's what I
too.
meant.
Went to Northern,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
but
public institution. I didn't attend Harvard. I didn't attend Harvard.
but Mr. Jackson, to your point, when they were bombing London, what did he say? Keep calm and carry on. So he was the epitome of statesmanship and also of brinkmanship because
Yeah.
it helped talk Truman into dropping those bombs, which saved millions of lives.
The war, right?
Yeah. So, and he also talked Roosevelt saying that, hey, we need to side with we need Stalin to defeat Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew what Stalin was doing.
Yeah.
But hey, you have to make these kind of concessions in politics, even though the thing with Tripoli and his failing during World War I. But you're absolutely correct. He is he's someone to read. Amazing.
Yep.
Very good.
Well, Kim, we could just move on out of here and let them talk that stuff.
Right? I could cook dinner. I could have everything. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I could have put my phone on mute and been at the stove, but okay.
No, Kim, we need you.
The actual
I do. I want to say before Tony wraps us all up, you three were great. I totally agree with Ian. I learned so much today or whatever. Like I said, I do listen to different news outlets, but to have it broken down in a way, especially from, and I'm not making it about race, but especially breaking it down from Black men that actually know history, that know what they're talking about and things like that. And it's not just like this cycle of BS that they're just pulling from Twitter and stuff like this. I really enjoyed myself. And now Goodwill might not know this, but you all are being requested to come back. And I would like to do this again after the Democratic convention, once we know who our VP is. Really quick, does anybody think it's going to be Pritzker? Anybody?
Lord,
No,
I hope not.
No, I didn't think so either. No. Okay, me, I'm going.
No, it has to be somebody.
Pete. I'm going Pete, but I mean, a lot of people have issues with that, but I see it. I see her.
Who?
You know what?
Pete.
My sister. My sister.
You said Buttigieg?
My sister want him.
Yeah. It locks up. I'm telling you, like I get it. I know that's a fart, but I'm telling you, that ticket. I don't know, but we can. We'll talk
about women. This is just a woman thing because most women have said they want him, but I don't understand. But the thing is, we need a swing state. We need a swing state.
Yeah.
I was thinking, why not Gretchen Whitmer or Josh Shapiro?
I can see Josh.
Right.
Yeah, I can see Josh.
But Gretchen said she wasn't going to do it. She said no. She said no to it. Gretchen did.
What'd you say, Ian? Ian, you saying something? You breaking up?
I'm sorry. Shapiro's Jewish, and he'll upset the squad. So you can't put a Jew.
That was literally somebody just told me on Monday that he was Jewish.
What kind of crap is that? He's Jewish.
I mean, one person in the squad hasn't even endorsed her yet. So
yeah.
So that's a problem.
Wait a minute. Isn't that I can't think of her name. It's she's a congresswoman. She's part of the squad. She's like she got a foreign name.
You talking about Rashida Tlaib from Michigan, from Minnesota?
It's
Ilmar Ohan.
Yeah, it's like Omar, whatever.
Omar Ilhan.
She was on The View the other day, and she said that they were going for Kamal.
Well, she has basically put out that she has a bit of an
that's
issue.
Gonna be
with
interesting because her husband is Jewish.
Yeah, but he's a secular Jew. So he's
her husband is Jewish.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What? He's a what?
A secular Jewish.
Secular Jew.
He's Jewish.
And he doesn't do any of the holidays. He's not.
Oh, okay. Me and Google was finna get along. I said, now what is that? Now what is that? Don't be adding words. I'm like, what? Okay. All right, good.
And then Trump was talking about that she hates Jews. She hates Jews. She married to a Jew. So how can she hate him? See, this is what I'm talking about. Don't get me started with this man in his lives.
You're not going to get started.
Go ahead.
You're not going to get started.
Don't get me started.
This season of America is lit.
Thank you all. We usually say safe travels, but you are probably in your own.
Thanks for inviting me.
No,
yes,
I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm taking the kids to Virginia Beach. So thank you. I'll take the safe travels.
Oh, yes. Nice.
Safe travels. Thank you all for joining the Unapologetic Podcast special as we talk politics. As Kim said, hey, we're going to come back after the DNC, see who the running mate will be with Kamala Harris. And hey, we are as Kim and I, we're going to be talking about our 40 years and all the major events that have taken place real soon. We could be on the brink of another major historic event if Kamala Harris is named president of the United States, and to be the first woman and to be black. I mean, wow. Unapologetic Podcast on all podcast platforms, on all social media platforms. Check us out. Black Men Hate Black Women. Lots of current events. Unapologetic brunch coming up August 18th at 11 o'clock. You are invited to purchase your tickets on Eventbrite. And we will see you real soon. Be safe out here in these streets. Enjoy summertime shot. Enjoy hot Atlanta. Enjoy hot DC. I like it.
Chocolate City.
Yeah.
Mug Hilly, Chocolate City.
And we'll talk to you all later. Peace out. Love y'all.
Good night.
All right. Good night.